Got it. Done and got it. All righty, y'all. Peace and greeting to you all. Namaste, namaste, namaste. Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Brother Hassan Ghazio Bey here in Morocco at Northwestern Mexham. How are you? Guys, welcome to our impromptu improv, actually, man. And it's about to be super duper impromptu, guys. And the title is Why Concept Correction, right? That's what you guys see in the advertisement. You see in the thumbnail there behind Brother Sean, and you'll see it in the thumbnail once I post it, right? Why concept correction? Why? Right? And we got a little treat for you guys today and how we're going to go in on it. We're going to look at the astrology pertaining to the Inquisition Revenue Service, termed the Internal Revenue Service. And then we're going to look at its history. All righty. So that's what we're looking at today, to get some astrology and a bit of civics to see why you're not a taxpayer unless you're volunteering to be a taxpayer by using a 9-digit number known as a consignee number. Shout out to Malika, right? As a matter of fact, let me send this to her right now. All right, let's see if she's available. And then that way she can come and kick it. However, guys, I would like for ye all to give it up for our beloved brother in whom we are well pleased. And he is
Islam. Matter of fact, can we just go right to the what was that, bro? They called me. What was that? Revelation of Bros game.
All righty, man. Let's get it right. Come on in and enjoy sharing with us. Boom. All right, I got that. Right. I guess I may never get to know what that works, since I don't plan on waiting until I get into court. Yo, she's hilarious, yo. Yo, Malika's hilarious, yo. That is hilarious. All right. So, yeah, because I sent some things in Telegram and it is what it is. All righty, Aphrodite. So, guys, we're about to get this started. Look, I'm gonna cut right to the chase and do the screen share. The invocation in, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's you, right, Brother Sean? You got the invocation in?
Indeed.
All righty. So Brother Sean's going to do the invocation in. I'll do the first letter to be read in every meeting. He'll do the second, and then I'll do the invocation out once we're complete. This is going to be brief, guys. We're going to knock it out, and then we have class with Malika, right? For those of you that are part of court strategy, right? So we're going to get this done in under an hour. And then Seven Hill Star is hosting McReal. All righty. If you are not on TikTok, you will not be able to be a part of it, because the only way to be a part of tonight's class with what McReal is sharing, all righty, you have to click the link in Seven Hill Stars TikTok. All righty. It's in the bio in the TikTok. That's the only way you're going to be able to get your hands on it. So here we go, going to these IBIZUCs, right? All right, guys, so you can see here we're at the Moorish Holy Temple of Science Administrative Functions. All righty, you see handsomely standing Dugard in his Moor Shari's Fez and Abba is Prophet Noble Drew Ali, founder. All righty, founder of what? Well, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science adopted as its corporate name, Moorish Science Temple of America. Do you see that there? And, right, where it says, and said Moorish Holy Temple of Science adopted as its corporate name, Moorish Science Temple of America. Who's the presiding officer for that? Well, it is Noble Drew Ali right there, guys. All right. So we're going to do our invocation and we're going to extend all 5 appendages on the left hand, just the index middle on the right. We're going to face east, right, which is symbolic metaphysically to going within. You guys can repeat after Brother Sean either aloud or in ye hearts.
Oh, you hear me, bro?
Go ahead. I said Islam.
Okay, Islam. Yeah, it seemed like it went out real quick. All right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
and my salvation.
and my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali.
Amen.
All righty, y'all. Let's get it. I'm gonna just take it on to where we're going right here. The following, right? Because again, remember, we're in the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, administrative functions. The following is a letter written by Prophet Noble Drew Ali on the 18th day, January 1928, Anno Domini. He commanded that it be read before every administrative functions, Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office, 3603 Indiana Avenue, Noble Drew Ali, founder, Chicago, Illinois, January 18th, 1929. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Dear brother, Islam, I'm glad to know that I have few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy, quote unquote, about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as an American citizen, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it bad. Never before have I needed finance as badly as I do at present, that I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my, quote, fame and nobility, end quote, period. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without me, the prophet, being the head. It has been proven by my work in which I have performed in the last few months because I was at Lewis Lincoln Emerson's governor's inauguration to represent the Moorish divine and national movement, and I will be at the inauguration of President Hoover for the same cause. Noble Drew Ali. Now we're going to the Moorish literature, excerpts from the Moorish Guide newspaper. On page 12, you see handsomely standing Dugard as Prophet Noble Drew Ali again in his Moorish Fez and Abba. And page 13, I yield the floor to Brother Sean Nell, Islam.
Excellent. Divine warning by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslim governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple of the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive the reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. Our true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. By order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Islam, broski doski. So, guys, we're getting into this today, right? I wanted to ask some questions, and I wanted to know, honestly, when did the IRS start? Simply Googled it. And before we get into this, IRS history timeline here from March 2019, right? let's look at www.jobs.irs.gov, right? And, you know, and of course we saw there, you know, what it says off the break, July 1, 1862. So we're going to be analyzing a chart there. Let's just look at something real quick, guys, right? The roots, let's just read the origin and then we'll come back. The roots pertaining to the IRS go back to the Civil War when President Lincoln and Congress in 1862 created the position of Commissioner of Internal Revenue and enacted an income tax to pay war expenses. Y'all, does that make you think like, hold on, man, I ain't had nothing to do with that? But you trying to get everybody in on helping? I mean, come on, man. We already know what that really is. That's boiling down to one entity funding both sides for the war to go down. But, you know, now there's expenses from that. And so now people are like, come on, man, this is, woo. Yeah, this is bureaucratized slavery starting here. In order to be a slave, you have to volunteer. You have to be in tax compliance while you're volunteering to be a part of bureaucratized slavery. The income tax was repealed 10 years later. So that means in 1872, it was over. Congress, however, revived the income tax in 1894, but Supreme Court ruled it. The Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional in 1895. You know, the following year after 1894. Just want to make sure we are really checking this. You know what I mean? Right? So I think we should kind of just, you know, just take a look at this. Right now, let me just stop the screen share here. Right? Stop the screen share. All right. What I'm going to do now is share my screen over here. Right? Brother Sean, I'm going to ask you, man, what do you see here, man? Like, seriously, what is it that you see here? Let's just, I don't know. Let's see which wheel we want to look at first. We can look at that wheel. We can look at the Hellenistic wheel. Which wheel you prefer, bro? Hellenistic with the big aspects grid. Our 7-day chart medical astro weather report template. Or the base? Which one you like to look at, bro?
I guess we can stick it with the base since we get into the base or root of things today.
All righty, cool. What is it that you're seeing here, bro? Because I'm seeing quite a few things here. Just like, man, Mansky Dansky. Go ahead, bro. You can go in first, man. What you see, man?
Man, first, man, just looking at looking at that Jupiter, not detriment at Jupiter, but man, it's that 29 degree, that moon, that Luna. But that Luna and moon, man, they mutual reception though. That's, you know, another thing that's popping out to me. Like, we don't have an exact time, so we're just doing a high noon chart. And that sun and moon and that combust Mercury definitely retrograde in Cancer.
Yep.
Right. So just even with that, and with it being at a Piscean degree, and I'm pretty sure it's probably not too far off of Sirius as well. So it's like, you think of contracts, right? So we just go off this chart with everything being in the 10th. Luna would be ruling over Mercury and the Sun and would be in the 11th. So we think of friend groups, and it's just, yeah, this is like done by beings who definitely kept things private. This was like a private kind of thing. It wasn't something actual for the benefit of the people, right? It was a benefit for themselves. And even with that Jupiter Saturn conjunction, let's see, off about 3 degrees, 3 degrees 16 minutes, right?
Hold on, where you at? What we looking at?
Oh, yeah, let's go that Jupiter Saturn conjunction.
Yeah.
At 3 degrees 16
Definitely.
minutes. So in the 12th, it's just it's like this was done in private, but they still put it in, the people's faces. The people, looking at the people as the moon, thinking like, hey, these these officials are doing something to help us, when it was like, there's like a whole nother side to that. And just looking at even the Senate being on Libra, right? 7 degrees, 40 minutes. And we look at that Venus being in Gemini in 8th house. So it's dealing with, quote unquote, other people's money, shared finances. And Venus also ruling over, the 1st and the 8th. This is, man, it just speaks clear, with, labor and organization being ruled by Virgo. So Jupiter's expansion, but Saturn is restriction. So it's like they can restrict and let it expand as much as they want it to. And Venus, also dealing with like the finances and the resources being in the 8th. And like an applying conjunction. Not applying conjunction, applying sextile with Neptune in the 6th. And Neptune in the 6th is also at a Gemini degree, being ruled by Jupiter in the opposite house. When you think of secret enemies and open enemies, it's like if one doesn't have the eyes to see, they don't think they're form and they're really not, and Neptune is just, they're just moving forward. It makes me want to look at the whole Jekyll Island thing too, is what's really coming up strong. Like, right, and Mars ruling, over the 2nd house, dealing with like finances, and Mars is in the 6th in Pisces, 27 degrees. So another Gemini degree, man. It's like, and they would be our chattel, from that speech. Sun's in the 10th too at 9 degrees Cancer. I'm trying to think what exactly is 9 degrees Cancer. But you can go ahead, bro. I'm gonna look at something else real quick. See, 9 degrees.
Yeah. 9 degrees. You said 9 degrees Cancer.
9 degrees 54 minutes is the Jupiter North Node, so it's definitely close to that.
Absolutely. For shizzle, all day, every day, right? Yeah, it's exact. Yep, Jupiter's North Node. So where Jupiter's orbit intersects the sun's path, that was definitely then, right? Who knows where it is now, right? Because I think just like how we see the lunar nodes travel, it'll be really good to see other planetary nodes in their travels also. However, yes, we could stick with it for now, for right there. You know what I mean? Which is pretty dope to actually see, right? But bro, like, look how close to a historical degree it is, and we're about to speak on the history pertaining to the IRS, right? As far as that sun is concerned, man, it's definitely conjunct the historical degree, right? And if we were to look at what Alhena, which is Gamma Geminorum, we know we're just adding what, a degree and maybe like 26 minutes. So it's at what, 8:59, maybe like 9:25. So it's still a tight conjunction too with that. So, and it's the wound in the Achilles heel. So this is probably where people, don't really like too much of it, but eminence in art, right? But accidents to the feet. You think of feet as the foundation upon which you stand, and how a lot of people are under the mindset that they have to be a voluntary tax compliant employee, right? That's why we're going to go over a couple things to show you guys why you don't have to be those things for real, unless you are volunteering to be these things, right? So let me just go in right here. What I recognize, of course, first, what really got me, even before this whole Libra, which, when you look at the IRS's little icon, their little logo, it's holding a scale. It's supposed to be an eagle holding a scale, but it also looks like a beaked entity whose arm is the head of the eagle holding the scale, right? Like it's wild. But it's at 7 degrees, which is interesting as far as what we casted here. We casted it for noon, right? Now, what we could possibly do is rectify this chart. However, just for the fun of it, this is a telling chart for high noon on that day. It's a daytime chart, so the strongest planets for this, well, the daytime team is Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn, and all of them are above the horizon. They're all diurnally placed. All righty, so technically they're not doing so bad. However, I would say that the sun is, in a nocturnal sign. And so are Jupiter and Saturn. So even though this is a diurnal chart, they're in nocturnal signs. So that's just kind of dealing with their dignity a little bit. They are diurnally placed in a diurnal chart, but in nocturnal signs. So they're not in highs at all. The most malefic planet, which the planet may give the most wreckage, is Mars in Pisces in the 6th house for this particular chart, right? Ruled by a Jupiter that's debilitated in Virgo at the Scorpio degree. 20 degrees is a Scorpio degree. So that's really, because Scorpio is about taxes, right? And then the 2nd house is on Scorpio and Mars is ruling that. It's like guys, and Mars is under the dispositorship of Jupiter. So Jupiter is really about taxing your increase, right? Because 20 degrees is Scorpio degree, right? Even though the 2nd house cusp is at 4 degrees, which is a Cancer degree. So it's talking about overall the ego of the IRS, which is where the sun is, and why people sometimes don't comprehend it or think it's too much to read, or it's a convoluted reading, or they think it's something hidden, is because Mercury's at 12 degrees, which is a Piscean degree, which deals with hidden things, right? So the communication could not be seen as much, even though it could be, in front of one's face or tied to one's career or tied to one's status. So this is why it's clear for us to go over what we're about to go over here today. So I would just say, with Jupiter being in a position where, one, it's in the 12th house, a little bit of accidental dignity by being in this terrestrial house. So it has accidental dignity, but it's exiled. It feels out of place in Virgo, while at the same time being at a degree that pertains to taxation, pertains to debt. And so Jupiter, which deals with increase and expansion, is really ruling over 2 planets here, both Neptune in Aries, by the way. Neptune's in Aries and Mars is there in Pisces at Venus's exaltation degree. Like, what that just makes me think, when it comes to your daily adventures, when it comes to your daily routine, Mars and Neptune are doing something, to my perspective, that really means that it's being very bulldozing institutionally. This just speaks to, when it comes to everyday endeavors, when it comes to your work, your everyday hustle, when it comes to this, if people aren't clear on the communication, Mercury at 12 degrees in Cancer, Cancer, not clear, 12 degrees, which is Pisces, on communication, Mercury. If the people are not clear on the communication pertaining to their standing and what they're doing, Mars is going to wreak havoc, being ruled by a Jupiter that is technically under the dispositorship of that Mercury. And so the moon is under the dispositorship of the sun, right? While the moon is also being a dispositor for the sun. So the moon at 29 degrees, right, is conjunct the fixed star Regulus, which is known as this regal star, right? And then the 11th house, which is a complete opposite house. All the houses are on signs opposite to where they are terrestrially and naturally tied to. It just really lets me know that there's this forced sharing, right? Because the force of the king, right? Moon moves very quickly and it controls the water on the planet. And it is, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong here, Brother Sean, this is a void of course moon that we're looking at for the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
Which void do we remember what moon void of course is, guys? Moon void of course is buyer's remorse. Is this not apropos to look at? Because now what we're speaking to is the remorse in not comprehending what to do with a faith-based currency system that really we should not be participating in. However, since there's a lack of knowing how to instruct the trustees, whether they're secretaries of different cabinets, so-called governors of different states, lieutenant governors of different states, attorney generals of different states. Oh, food? Well, you wouldn't have to go to an instrumentality of the US called a cash register unless you are a federal agent, state agent, municipal, county, or city agent. However, since that's not in your popular rap songs, since Tyler Perry isn't making sitcoms with those ideas in it for you to laugh to, you guys are under a hypnosis that think you have to go and punch a clock to make someone else rich under the guise that ye are a tax agent because you're using a 9-digit number that shouldn't be requested of you at all. So yeah, when I see a Venus, who is the least benefic planet, under its own dispositorship because the 8th house is on Taurus, and Venus does not do great terrestrially in the 8th house, according to tradition, which is ruling over the transformation. Pluto in the 8th is doing much stronger, even though Pluto is debilitated. Pluto feels out of place in Taurus. It would do much better there, allegedly. In Scorpio, even though this is during a time prior to Pluto's so-called discovery, right? Because you get Uranus in like 1790, 1791, right? You get, well, 1790, I think, what is it? Is it 1834 or 1864? You get Neptune. And then in 1930, you get Pluto, as it's been dictated to you by some reconstructed history people. Even though there's some things I've come across that I really think people over 8,000 to 10,000 years ago knew about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I really think they did.
September 23rd, 1846 was Neptune.
Oh, 1846. I said 64. So Uranus, 1790, supposedly discovered by Herschel. 1846 for Neptune, 1930 for Pluto. All righty. So very interesting to see that Pluto, which is technically in modern astrology a co-ruler with Mars, but it's dealing with finances, transforming finances, filling out of place with finances. That's why a lot of the people feel out of place when it comes to it, because you guys are dealing with an entity whose Mercury communication is convoluted, 12 degrees representing Pisces, right? The people, Cancer, are dealing with trying to read publications, Mercury, that appear to be convoluted at 12 degrees, which resembles or deals with Pisces. So what's the best thing to do is to continue reading multiple things to get it fully comprehended. So Venus there in the 8th house for me just really says that it is seeking to communicate, Gemini, something about finances when it comes to joint financing. Finances, Venus, joint financing, 8th house. Ruling over the first, which is how it expresses itself. It's expressing itself to try to take care of a balance pertaining to some war that the people had nothing to do with. So you have people now still dealing with what is actually a voluntary compliance system. You don't have to use those 9-digit numbers. Are you an employee of the IRS? Do you owe your allegiance to the U.S. corporation? Do you owe a debt as a U.S. citizen to the U.S.? I'm gonna keep saying it like that on purpose so that it kind of just sinks in that where the people need to be is making this knowledge popular within their communities. Make your rap songs on this. Make your R&B songs about these things. When was the last jurisprudence R&B album? Oh, it's never been one made. Then maybe it needs to happen so that you can begin and very expediently reverse this hypnosis that most of you are under due to your practices of trying to keep food, clothing, and shelter, electricity, gas, and water, which should not be a duty on. The duty is the cost or the price. That's the duty. And then the plus tax is tax. And the only ones that's supposed to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, even though we're going to see a typographical error in this history timeline for the IRS, going to say excises, is Congress. And this is why Malika brought up before about utilizing the UCC1 statement from the Federal Reserve. But a lot more of us need to do these things. We need to stop being scared, stop thinking people are going to throw us in prison and all these other things when those things have nothing to do with you. We need to get well versed in knowing what we are not. And you learn by what you are not, because there's a lot of people saying, you know, oh, don't deal with statutes, codes, and policies. Statute codes and policies are for the trustees. They're not for the beneficiaries. I agree with that. However, do you know how to instruct those trustees, though? You probably would if you actually knew how to utilize the instructions that they are to be under. I think that's a help. So yeah, so that Venus is letting me know that there's a serious involuntary balance that is being requested of the people. However, the only people who are bound to help or comply with the voluntary tax system are those that use 9-digit tax numbers, consignee numbers. Again, that's another shout out to Malika and our lawful living community. Consignee numbers, which are known as the Social Security number, employer identification number, and the Customs and Border Patrol numbers. And if someone wants to use those things or compel you to disclose those numbers, they are guilty of a felony under 42 United States Code 408 8A. 408, in parentheses, the number 8, and then lowercase a, period. That's what it is. The sun is ruling over, as I said, the 11th house, which deals with sharing. And the people are there being forced to share with the king. Part of spirit's there next to the sun, next to the moon, which means the people really feel like all they're really doing is something for the king. Look, 17 degrees and 29 degrees are both Leo degrees. So there's some leadership, right? We're not going to say king like as an actual king. We're just going to say the rulership, leadership energy. Someone who thinks that the people, moon, must share, 11th house, their finances with them. Why am I getting finances? Because the moon rules silver. And part of spirit is the lot of the sun. Sun rules gold. So that's how I'm looking at those things. So that moon is ruling over that sun, which is ruling over that moon. So there's a mutual reception and dispositorship, even though that's not actually discussed in our astrological world. However, Seven Hills Star discusses it. And you hear anybody else speaking about that? they're welcome. Sun at 9 degrees gives me Sagittarius vibes, dealing with foreign policy, foreign activities. So both 9 and 12, 9 being Sagittarius, 12 being Pisces, are naturally ruled by Jupiter traditionally. So that makes me go back to that Jupiter, which lets me know anything ruled by Jupiter traditionally is not having a great time. And that is the 6th house and the 3rd house. Again, communicating how it's tied to your daily routine. Do you really know why? Who's really explaining it? No one. So things like this, where we have to do the occult, allegedly occult, which means hidden thing pertaining to astrology, to be able to give maybe some kind of interest to people out there who are willing to listen. And however you came into the information by way of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, maybe you came across Prophet Noble Drew Ali through RV Bay Publications, and then you're learning what ye can do for yourself and ye loved ones by not being an employee or an agent, by doing agent activities, thinking you're having a trust and a DBA and things of that nature. But brother Todd says put everything in a trust. Okay. Do you trust the truth? Because the trust is your mind. Can your mind analyze certain documentation to really show that these things don't apply to you? Saturn's in its joy, of course, though, in the 12th house. However, it too is at a Leo degree. While, like Brother Sean said, is in a conjunction, separating conjunction with Jupiter, because Jupiter moves faster than Saturn. And Saturn's ruling over the 4th and the 5th house, home and children. And that's where people usually want to get some type of home and or child tax credit with Saturn there in Virgo in the 12th house. So when analyzing this particular chart and thinking about the character pertaining to the IRS, it's pretty amazing to really think about, right? 1862 to 1962 is 100 years. 1962 to 2022 is 60 years. So that's 160 years. This made 161 here at 2023. So if we move the 161 degrees, anything in this chart, right? What do you think we'll come up with, Brother Sean?
Let's see. So you said 163?
161 degrees.
61? All right, so we took 161. Let's go to the sun. So let's see, we know that'll be a trine plus 43. So that'll get us to Scorpio. Looks like it will be in Sagittarius. About like maybe 13 degrees Sagittarius. Let's see. 63, let's see, 20. That'll leave us 40. So 21 get us that. But yeah, I'm gonna go about maybe got 12, 13 Sagittarius for the sun. Which that'll be interesting if there's like a Piscean degree. And if we went, let's see. Look at my hand. Let's see. If we moved Luna, let's say. Actually, let's move Jupiter at 163. So if I take away the trine, that'll get us to Capricorn, about 20 degrees Capricorn. So another 10 will give us 0. Let's see, Aquarius, and then let's add another 30. So about, it's about Libra. Interesting. So move that to, let's see, Sagittarius, which is still be doing a lot of foreign banking right now. So if it's about, let's say, 13, I'm going 13 Sagittarius. That would give us foreign and also maybe like Germany or something of a German origin with that.
You move 161, right? So let's see. You said the sun? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15 would be 9 degrees, 32 minutes in Sag, plus another 11, right? So that's what, 20 degrees, 32 minutes in Sag? Wow, that's on top of that. That's on top of that Nemesis, actually. And it's kind of midpointing Nemesis in the North Node, bro. Like, that's interesting. That's interesting, actually. That's very interesting, bro. So then that would put the moon at about 11 degrees, 48 minutes in Aquarius. This is what I recognize. That Pluto is very telling, bro. I think that puts Pluto at like 24 degrees Libra, 7 minutes. Let's see, from Taurus, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 would be 1107 Libra, plus another, 11? Right? I think I added 13 too just now by mistake. So take away 2, that would be 22 degrees at 11. So 22 degrees, 7 minutes in Libra. Bro, look at that. Transformation in the structure of the balance of how IRS does what it does. This is called solar arc development, guys. If I was to show you, see what we're doing in our minds. See how I said Pluto here is at 1107. And if I did solar arc development to where it is now, it should be at about 22 degrees Libra. So we can let's do a progression.
Maybe that's Saturn. Or that Saturn energy group would hit that Aquarius. So that Saturn would be dominant now.
Let's see.
Let's see, secondary progress. Oh, it's in Libra. Saturn's in Libra.
I knew, but it's
definitely in its own degree too. Was that night? Wait, no. I think it's 21. Saturn's exalted Libra. I think 19 is a fall of the sun.
You talking about going back to the secondary progress chart?
Yeah, because I just seen that before you clicked to that, and I was like, "Whoa, hold on, was that 7?" Okay, no, it's at 4 degrees Libra, but it's still exalted, and it's definitely in a Cancerian degree in the 7th house. So the people can get their remedy. I think the people have to just move away from. Oh wow, you see that? Because
yes, it is a Cazimi. I was just looking at that, bro. Sun and Venus Cazimi, bro. Well, Venus Cazimi. Exactly correct. Yeah. And look, a Leo degree again, bro.
What a dominant. Mars being dominant now.
This is interesting. Very interesting to look at this, honestly.
Man, it's almost like a kite in there too. Wow, that Mercury, Pluto, quincunx in conjunct.
You said Mercury, Pluto? Mercury. Pluto, yeah. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Yep. So with that even being said, with what Brother Sean's talking about, what's even more interesting is how this Venus Cazimi is brewing to being in a reflection to Uranus. So it lets me know that where the IRS has progressed at this point in time, it's progressed to a point where there's about to be some type of structural transformation dealing with how it does things on every day. 18 degrees, we know, is a Virgo degree. Uranus is there, sudden changes, right? To the collective, maybe because of a pouring out of energy that's being communicated, right, on the internet, right? Retrograde. This Uranus is retrograde, so it's moving back towards an exact 180 where this has progressed. So that means now we know that IRS started out as a Cancer, now it's a Sag, right? It's now 6 houses away. So this really says to me that I am predicting, along with where we know Regulus is now no longer being seen lined up with tropical Leo. The constellation Leo with Regulus, which is the heart of that constellation, is now at the beginning of Virgo, where it's like the king must serve, right? King, Regulus, serve, Virgo. And it's interesting how the 7th house cusp is at a Virgo degree. And even, which means that the ascendant is there too. So I think what's actually occurring, guys, right? What's actually occurring for the IRS in this year that we're looking at right now at this time, there's about to be a lot of forgiveness and structural changes because the health of it is not going to be so great. It's going to be a lot of giving people back their energy. You know what I mean? Since a lot of people are going to have this information poured out on them to be able to change the everyday routine pertaining to their property. 4th house is property. 4th house is also people too. People is, like I said, is also the moon. 4th sign is Cancer. So the moon is very dominant while also conjunct the part of spirit, also in Kazini fashion, as well as also in Kazini fashion conjunct the part of Eros. So here is where I think a lot of the people are going to be doing what they think is, oh, I'm gonna do this child tax credit thing, but it might be even better for the people to just, teach their children, people, moon, teach. Mothers are the first teacher and trainer, mother being the first teacher and trainer is Cancer, children, 5th house, about, not really, getting in bed, so to speak. And what I mean by that is just tying your hopes to the finances, you know what I mean? Being in love with the finances, right? And just be able to find a way of expressing themselves through their own ventures, right? Part of spirit, so that they can be able to have better thoughts, better thinking, moon, about their finances, right? Their internal finances, really valuing themselves so that they don't have to go out there thinking they need to, volunteer by using tax identification numbers, terms, social security numbers, employee identification numbers, or Customs and Border Patrol numbers, especially if they're not actual agents. It's Jupiter, Brother Sean, that's at that exaltation of Saturn, bro.
And it's in the 7th, so it just makes you think too, like how people are talking about, oh, it's this great wealth transfer and everything else. I think it's just gonna be those that are operating as fiduciaries and trustees, and the people just checking them, and then the great wealth transfer is not having to do involuntary solitude and be surety and these contracts, these unconscionable contracts that has been occurring. So with some foreign help, right? 21 degrees, Sagittarius degree, some foreign justice, foreign expensive justice that people can get back. The energy they have put out, or be able to now get things without having to impersonate and, just be under that hypnosis that a lot of the people have been under for so long. It's like, oh, I want this child credit. And it's like, you're it makes me think of that story in the Bible, like where the red dragon, was ready to devour the woman. And it's like
devour her child, yeah.
It's like you want these tax credits, and it's like the people need to get back to government and able to really be about equality for everyone, so that everybody can breathe free. And as you were saying earlier, get food, clothes, shelter, and all these things that are, basic rights that everyone should have, but Bings has made it like where they have to tax everything because they're greedy. So yeah, it's like a fall for those who've been greedy, and a rise for the people. If they're truly and ready, open for it. Like if they want to get away from the voluntary, slavery mindset, right? Mercury in Sagittarius, which is debilitated, but its structure and things that are foreign, it's in the ninth house. And the North Node is conjunct at midheaven too. 16, so another Cancerian degree. So it's freeing our babies, and setting things up so that everyone can eat and, get back into that culture of our ancient foremothers and forefathers during the golden ages, as they would say, like the Renaissance. Because there's a lot of things going on that are changing, that for those that, have the eyes can see, but for those who are just, going with what everybody else thinks, they can't really see the major shift and change that's occurring for the people's benefit. So, wow.
Yeah, this is the time too for people to really take advantage of that, this progressed North Node with the progressed part of fortune sextile to one another. What's interesting too, with that being in the ninth house is higher learning, foreign affairs, the world at large. But if we just look at it as foreign affairs or higher learning, right? Because dealing with taxes is dealing with foreigners, right? Trading with the enemies, right? That's foreigners, right? Very ninth house-ish. Higher learning, though. Where's the higher learning happening? 23 degrees is a Aquarius degree, which deals with the internet, right? Because the sign of Aquarius is airwaves. See? Airwaves. Those are airwaves, like broadcasting, right? So with that being said, we have Mercury, even though Mercury does much better terrestrially in the third house. Here in the ninth, it's just where people are just going to have to take notes on something that seems foreign to them. And a lot of it is coming from the internet. Even now, we're on the internet going over this. We're on YouTube Live right now. Speaking, right? We're on YouTube Live, 23 degrees, speaking Mercury about this particular foreign affair and the higher learning that we've done pertaining to astrology. That's 23 degrees again, astrology, higher learning, ninth house, alrighty, about this particular world issue, Sagittarius, right? Dealing with the world, because it's the ninth sign, right? So I just really wanted to just kind of point some things out in what we were doing earlier pertaining to the solar arc, right? Solar arc development, and I was like, okay, so I was off by 3 degrees. So Pluto's at 19 for the solar arcing, right? Libra, I said 22. If I just said 24, then I said 22. It's actually at 19. So even looking at the solar arc development, it just really lets me know, because I know that this is the first house, right? Of the natal chart for it. So now let's imagine that Pluto that's at 19 degrees Libra is somewhere right here in the first. Right? So let's say we wanted to, let's just have some fun. Let's do multiple wheels here, right? And let's do the natal tri-wheel. Let's tri-wheel it. Internal Revenue Service, is that secondary progressed? And then this one will be solar return. Let's hope this one is solar return. And let's hit OK on all 3 of those. And now we can see, alrighty, so the secondary progressed is the second wheel, and the, let's see, yep, solar arc is the third wheel. So now if we really take a look at this, right? Let's just really look how the solar arc Pluto has a bit of a conjunction, right? A separating conjunction with Jupiter. So yeah, there's going to be a transformation in the expansion pertaining to how, this does this. So that's why there's trying to find ways of tracking people's spending with a digital based currency. That's one thing that I'm seeing there, right? Libra not only deals with balance, but it is dealing with contracts and law also, just like the ninth house deals with the law. Ninth house also is what's communicated from the contract signed, right? What's kind of the communicated outcome just about, with the eighth house being that which pertains to the actual debt being performed, the obligation being performed. So when it comes to the debt and obligation, there's already Pluto there, ready to do what it has to do to transform what happened in contracting, right? And what I said, Mars is ruling the seventh house natally, and it's the worst planet for this particular chart. Not Mars always the worst planet, just because this is a daytime chart. Mars is the most malefic planet being ruled by. Mars can only do what it's doing based off of what Jupiter says. Jupiter's going to do based off of what Mercury says. Mercury's going to do based off of what the moon says. And the moon does what it does based off of what the sun says. And if we're really looking at all these things, it's just a really convoluted comprehension. People do not get this IRS thing. So we're going to do a little bit of reading about this and see if some of the energies that we said here before even reading what we're about to read kind of lines up. All righty. I think it's also pretty interesting too that we have this 27-degree Cancer on the secondary progress chart, which means, they're in a new moon phase. So, this entity known that we know as the Inquisition Revenue Service, what most people think is the Internal Revenue Service, there's this new moon energy. So it's going to try new things. It's going to seek to do new things. And even in the secondary progress, it's still kind of hanging on to being in the 12th house. So it wants to have its joy, right? Even though it's in Libra, but it's in the 12th house, have its joy in finding ways of forcing compliance or having more people, 4 degrees, which pertains to Cancer, to comply, right? And the reason why I'm looking at Libra as comply, because that's being able to use Title 26, which is the tax revenue title, right? To have people comply with that, or what people think is the tax law. But it's just a code that only pertains to federal, state, and municipal, city and county employees. And that alone, that's it, that's all. Mars in the secondary progress chart seems to have, gone into the natal 7th house, but it's in a nocturnal chart. According to this particular one, according to this particular chart here. Let's see what happens when I click on this. It's a different kind of chart. I want to make sure we see their own. I want them to have their unequal signs and their own cusps. Honestly, that's what I really wanted to see. Right? That's what I really wanted to see. All right. So with that being said, so now we get to see the different ascendants. So that's cool. And I can whole sign house it just to see where the different ascendants are. So technically, if the ascendant's here, this is still a daytime chart. And where's the sun for this one? Technically, it's still a daytime chart also, right? So if we looked at all these as daytime charts, Mars is like tear the club up thug, really. And when it comes to the 7th house and how this is going to be relating natally, the 7th, but it would be in the progressive would be second. It's really just bringing to the forefront some ideals about how to be progressive about the finances that it's seeking to get from others that are contracting with it through the 9-digit number, whether it is a social security number, social identification number for those near what's falsely called Canada, that we know as Canaan land, right? But just specifically, that's just general knowledge. That's not for any being or group of beings in particular. It's just that we know that falsely called Canada is Canaan land. And so, when we're looking at this, we're just like, oh, okay, so who else is like relating to it? People that use the employer identification number, people that use the Customs and Border Patrol number, just to kind of just bring a few things to you guys. Spend a little more time on that. You guys want more on that, see what it is. We can always, schedule a session, but the most important session to schedule is your Mirror AstroLiteracy session. first and foremost. So you can learn how to read astrology yourself. I think everyone needs to be astro literate. I think that's something that everyone actually needs so that they can be able to study themselves. And then you can see how your chart actually interacts with this chart, right? How does your chart interact with this one? You know what I mean? So it just, by I being a sun sign Cancer, when I saw that, I was like, haha, this makes sense. You know what I mean? And I get why I kind of look at it the way I look at it. It's just like, right? I'm like, like it is what it is. It's not really. It was easy for me to see through the Inquisition Revenue Service. It really was. And it was also easy for me to do some things with the Inquisition Revenue Services just to make sure that they are what they say they are, servants. And that's what I learned, where I was able to effectuate something without having to fill out any documentation, which showed me that at the end of the day, at the end all be all within foreign trade and foreign commerce, all under foreign trade, foreign commerce, Title 15, dealing with foreign banks and banking, Title 12, in association with money and finance, Title 31. We can see that there's Title 26, the Internal Revenue Code, which has nothing to do with Brother Hassan, because I'm clear on that. I'm able to see the communication clearly, especially with the Internal Revenue Services Mercury close to a very important placement in my chart. So it's like, that makes sense for me. I totally get it and see why it works how it works. However, let me stop the screen share here, right? And let's just go into something very briefly, right? Let me do the screen share right here. Boom, shakalaka, before we go into class with Malika, right? This is what I want to bring up, right? Who's in the chat? Let's holla at you real quick. Let's holla at you. Brother Derek Blashbay says, happy Holy Venus degree, and so does Mother Sahar L says, happy Holy Venus degree, peace and love. The Art of Life says, Islam. Open 642 says, greetings. Brother Jadon L says, enacted income tax to pay war expenses. Exactly, bro. Like, what in the hookity hook heck is that? All right, Mother Janelle Blashow says, greetings. And Book of Malika says, greetings, family. Indeed, indeed. Peaceful greetings to you all. So look, check this out. Brief history of the IRS, right? Brother Sean, you want to read that first paragraph, and I'll do the 16th Amendment. I yield.
So, origin. The roots of IRS go back to the Civil War, when President Lincoln and Congress in 1862 created the position of Commissioner of Internal Revenue and enacted an income tax to pay war expenses. The income tax was repealed 10 years later. Congress revived the income tax in 1894, but the Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional the following year.
16th Amendment, which is unlawfully ratified because it shouldn't have been, because there was no actual constitutional convention when Congress adjourned sine die in 1861. So there hasn't actually been an actual de jure Congress since 1861, making Lincoln the last presiding officer and who bureaucratized slavery. People think he ended, it was the Emancipation Proclamation. Well, it's like, hey, man, don't try to force people to slavery. Let them volunteer by using a 9-digit number. So in 1913, which is the year that Prophet Noble Drew Ali established the old Canaanite temple, Wyoming unlawfully ratified the 16th Amendment. And it's really only 10 Bill of Rights, but they use the word amendment to try to make the people be under the hypnosis that, it's law abiding. No, it isn't. And you guys just need to do the studies necessary to comprehend what I and my brothers comprehend. Providing the 3/4 majority of states necessary to amend the Constitution. The 16th Amendment gave Congress the authority to enact an income tax. That same year, the first Form 1040 appeared after Congress levied a 1% tax on net personal incomes, which means you must be a person to have anything personal. And a person is an individual, which most of you beings are not, but we're going to show you how you're not. Above 3,000 units, what people think are $3,000. with a 6% surtax on incomes of more than 500,000 units. In 1918, during World War I, the top rate of the income tax rose to 77% to help finance the war. It dropped sharply in the post-war years, down to 24% in 1929, and rose again during the Depression. During World War II, Congress introduced payroll withholding and quarterly tax payments. 1913, Form 1040, I guess there would be a PDF right there if we wanted to click on it. I yield, bro, a new name.
New name. In the 50s, the agency was reorganized to replace a patronage system with career professional employees. The Bureau of Internal Revenue name was changed to the Internal Revenue Service. Only the IRS Commissioner and Chief Counsel are selected by the President and confirmed by the Senate.
Today's IRS organization, IRS Restructuring and Reform Act of 1998, prompted the most comprehensive, I don't know according to who's thinking, but most comprehensive reorganization and modernization of IRS in nearly half a century. The IRS reorganized itself to closely resemble the private sector model of organizing around customers with similar needs. I yield, bro. The IRS mission.
IRS mission: provide America's taxpayers top quality service for your servitude by helping them understand and meet their tax responsibilities and enforce the law with integrity and fairness to all. This mission statement describes our role.
It said America's taxpayers. So if you're not a taxpayer, it doesn't apply to you. And the only way you can be a taxpayer is if you volunteer to use any of those 9-digit numbers. Okay, I yield, bro.
The mission statement describes our role and the public's expectation about how we should perform that role. In the United States, the Congress passes tax laws and requires taxpayers to comply. The taxpayer's role is to understand and meet his or her tax obligations. The IRS role is to help the large majority of compliant taxpayers with the tax law, while ensuring that the minority who are unwilling to comply pay their fair share. So
I want you guys to do your homework, then pay their fair share. You got to do it like every American and pay your fair. Well, that's if you use a tax ID number that it's a felony to disclose. We'll show you that just because we're about to go through something very fast. You guys want to see this IRS history timeline? I was able to get there by simply Googling, where did the IRS start? And it seemed right there where it said people also asked, where was the IRS founded? That's what I clicked on. And then it, when I clicked on that, right? See the history time US, IRS, history timeline is purple, which means I clicked it already. There's the PDF. Do your homework. Look at that timeline. I guarantee you'll probably be like, what? Right? This is what we were talking about too. Brother Sean, and the Exalted Cyclops, Brother Corey Bay, was like, yo, look at that, yo. That looks like, yeah, right? Olive branch on the left, supposed to be an eagle with its wing up, with in its beak, the scales. But if you kind of zoom out a bit, where that eagle's head with the beak kind of looks like somebody's arm holding a handle of the scales, and it's like their heads down, like they got on some kind of hood or something, or they're just looking at the scale. Like, yeah, man, it has quite a double entendre in the image. However, guys, let's move.
Looks like a SpongeBob jellyfish.
Yo, absolutely, right? So if I go to my Lawful Living notes here, right? Shout out to Malika. We're about to come into class, Malika. I know we're a little late. Right. But coming to my Lawful Living notes, and I want to see, where, let's see, where. Oh, that's right. Right. Definition of in the state. It's funny. Definition of in the state. If somebody in the state of whatever, it's always going to be under revenue and taxation for any state. Any vendor called the state of, right? Just wanted to point that out with revenue and taxation for what's what's that, Idaho or whatever. Yeah. So I'm in the I's here. But which means shout out to all our lawful living loved ones that helped over a year and some change to compile that, right? But what I wanted to look at was this right here, right? Check that out. You want to know what's the foundation for the birth certificate that you shouldn't be getting because it's a foundling certificate that makes children a part of a cartel, right? 45 CFR, public welfare, Article 46, subpart A. 42 USC, public welfare. 45 USC, railroads. I think it's pertaining to that too, if you check it out. And also 5 USC 301, authority, along with 42 USC 289 and 42 USC 300 V1B. So you guys can see it, I know a lot of people they're on TikTok hear me saying these things off the top of my head, like I'm just, he just knows that. Guys, you come across it enough, you'll see these things and really see what time it is. However, let's take it back now here and give you guys a briefing real quick. Oh, that's not what I really meant to do. 2 seconds. Okay. So bringing it back here, if I hit the plus button here and I type 5 USC 552A, Brother Jadon, individual right there is at 552A number 2. The term individual means a citizen of the United States or an alien lawfully admitted for permanent residence. Hold on, citizen of the United States. That makes me think I need to now go from 5 USC 552A to 15 USC 4724, where what is a United States citizen? I'm curious. Okay, I'm here at trade shows. What's a United States citizen? Oh, okay. Definitions. The term United States business means a United States citizen. Well, looky, Astro Cookie. So we gave you the authority for the birth certificate. We're showing you how you can't be an individual because an individual is a U.S. citizen, which is a business. Are you a business? I know Jay-Z was like, I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. Let me handle my business. Damn, that's not what this is. You guys aren't that. Okay. Let's just be clear. Then let's look up 20 CFR.
Or 22.101.
Or 22.10 Fizzle, right?
104. Okay. 104.
It's all good. Who can be assigned a social security number? Well, who? Persons. Persons. Persons eligible for SSN assignment. We can assign you. Soldier boy, tell him. Let's click you. You means an individual. I just showed you guys you're not an individual unless you're somebody who's, being an employee under statute. Other than that, you're impersonating an officer. You means an individual who owes a debt to the United States within the scope of this subpart. So why do you want a social security number assignment? I don't think it's cool, but whatever.
Because I want to get my DBA and my trust, man. Like what the autumn gurus be saying. So I can get my DBA, my trust, and I can put this and that, and I can transfer stuff from my checking to my savings, so I ain't gotta wait, or whatever Kevin Hart said.
Yo, and then finally, like, why be a part of something? Just to comprehend a little further, 26 USC 7701, right? Let's go down to lowercase h. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for lowercase h, right? Let's see, where are we? We're scrolling down even more. We're looking for lowercase h here. We're at E. We're in lowercase e zone right now. There's h. Motor vehicle operating leases. And I usually say, this is 26 USC 7701 H2 C1. Certification by lessee. Shout out to Keith for this one, right? And our lawful living loved ones out there, right? Jadon says the use in the chat. All right. Certification by lessee, notice of tax ownership, which means somebody's an employee. An agreement meets the requirements of this subpart if such agreement contains a separate written statement separately signed by the lessee. Oh, who's the lessor? Well, check it out. When you go and register your land conveyance or automobile with the state, you have now made the governor pertaining to that state the lessor. Now they're leasing your property your property back to you. You're now sharecropping. You have become a lessee now. However, you need to really write the fact that the certification is false because they can't say that it is. They have to remain in what they call good faith. Under which the lessee certifies. So you have to write a separate written statement that's separately signed by you. If you're acting like this one leasing ye own property from the state because you're not registered with it under threat, duress, and coercion, of course, under which the lessee now you have to certify under penalties of perjury, which means you better not be lying that you intend that more than 50% of the use of the property, your land conveyance, is subject to this motor vehicle lease agreement. To be in trade or business pertaining to the lessee, because you're the lessee now. What's trade or business? You telling me you're out there performing functions of public office? Trade or business. The term trade or business includes the performance of the functions of public office. And that's why Malika pointed out in that traffic blocking class at Lawful Living. Ben pointed it out. You see what I'm saying? That people take a freaking oath. You guys take an oath every time you get that license, not even knowing you're being an agent. 2, which clearly and legibly states, you have to clearly and legibly state now that you are leasing your property from someone else because you're saying, I can't handle my own affairs. Lease my property to me. That the lessee has been advised that it will not be treated as the owner. You will not be treated as the owner. Do you get you won't be treated as the owner now that you registered that stuff? You're not going to be treated as the owner of the property, subject to the arrangement for federal income tax purposes. So you're just borrowing your shit.
You think you own it, but you don't.
I'm just saying. And lastly, D, lessor, right? The governor, right? Anybody that works under the governor, they must have no knowledge that the certification is false. So that means they're just going to keep thinking, well, it's in good faith. And you're doing this is why you guys have to know these things. So you can write a statement and say, hey, I certify that under the penalties of perjury that I do not intend and more than 50% of the use of my land conveyance. And this is why I said we need to get strong as a global community to ward these belligerent trustees off of us. But since people have been ignorantly participating in something that they have no knowledge in that they're participating, ignorance is still no excuse to me. However, an agreement meets the requirements of this subparagraph if the lessor, who is now the governor that you done registered your stuff with, does not know the certification is false described in subparagraph CI or C1, which is what I said. It's false. So that means you guys got to say something. But how are you going to say it if you're so confused because the natal chart of the IRS has Mercury at 12 degrees and you guys said that 12 degrees is Pisces and Pisces deals with convolution and hidden things. So we're not going to understand it because we are the people, Cancer, that's trying to comprehend and think and know what the publications of the IRS is saying, Mercury, but it's at the convoluted degree pertaining to Pisces, 12 degrees. No, guys, no, that time's over. This is why you need to start making your rap songs about this stuff. Petition for Tyler Perry to bring this forward. You might lose a shitload of money.
Tyler Perry write, Medea sues the IRS, something like that.
Flat out. Any questions, comments, and/or suggestions, guys? We're about to get out of here. I know we're late for Malika's class. We're 15 minutes behind, but it's all good. It's fashionably done to make sure you guys have what you need. Questions, comments, and/or suggestions going twice. This is where I and Brother Sean say to ye all, be ye selves and
donate.
Make sure you donate, guys. I will, edit the thumbnail for this video. I'm putting things in the description. Also, I know I got to do the invocation out, so I'll be getting to that. there are no more questions, comments, and/or suggestions going through eyes. Make sure you catch the replay if you're just coming in, guys. Don't be afraid to catch the replay. But we about to get on to Malika's class for court strategy, and then at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 4:30 Pacific. Seven Hill Star is hosting Charles McReal. Right, we're hosting McReal. Those of you that know McReal from TikTok, as well as from our Lawful Living community. 7:30, you guys, if you want to be a part of that, you have to go to Seven Hill Stars TikTok to click the link. The link is in the bio for that particular class, and we will be opening it up sharply at 7:30 Easterns for you guys to come in. So even if you kind of go in there early, that's cool. Just wait for us to let you in. All righty. So with that being said, guys, we love you all. Mother Sahar says sincere gratitude. Guys, we're going to extend all 5 appendages on our left hand, just the index and middle on the right. Let me take it here. Going to face east, which is symbolic metaphysically to, for going within. Going to put our feet on a 45-degree angle. You can repeat after me, either aloud or in your heart. Islam. Islam, Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector. My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Noble Drew Ali. Excellent, guys. We'll see you tonight at 7. And those of you that are part of Lawful Living's court strategy, see you in like 30 seconds. This is where I am Brother Sean, Aline L. say to you all on behalf of all the 7 Hill Star, Brother Corey Bay, Brother Terrell Tamari Bay, and Brother Arnold Waba Bay. We say we love you all. Namaste. Islam, y'all. Peace and love. Astro Pup.